Bonjour, Bean de Gain. Welcome to Shanab Jep, the show that tests your knowledge on being a Shanab. We didn't make our casino connection yet, so we're still a low-budget show. And here's your host, Al Treebark.
Hello and welcome to RezStyle. I'm your host, Kimberlie Acosta, and I'm here today with Jim Northrup. He's a great native artist who writes and is working recently on a play called Shanab Jep. And he just had his first appearance at the Black Bear Casino. You want to tell us about your play?
It's a parody of the game show Jeopardy! It stresses cooperation rather than competition. And it's just a half hour of fun.
How did you come up with that?
Well, I was watching TV one day and Jeopardy was on, and I was, answering the questions along with the rest of them, and I finally said, hey, you know what? We should have an Indian Jeopardy. And then a little bit later I said, well, who's going to write it? Well, I guess I could. So I wrote it.
And have you been getting a good response to it?
Yes, it's one of my more successful plays.
And you write as well, because you have a couple books out, and you do the Fond du Lac Follies, which is in different newspapers like News from Indian Country. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I've been writing that initially it started with the invitation of Rod Greengrass. He was the editor of the Circle at the time. I sent him a couple of pieces, and he says, hey, why don't you try writing a monthly column? I said, okay, I can do that. So I wrote 1,000 words at the time, and people liked it. I kept writing it. It was monthly, so it wasn't too much of a strain.
And it's a lot about your stories of your life, everyday life, where you guys go, correct?
Yes, Nominike, Iskigumzige, just whatever I do all year long.
And with your Corvette, you want to share with us the story of your Corvette, the great Corvette?
Yes. About 2000, the year 2000, there was a giveaway at this casino, and the prize was a 1964 Corvette Stingray. So my wife said, well, I got 4 tickets in there, I'm going to go down there and see. And I said, well, I'm going to stay home because nobody ever wins those things. So about halfway through, I got a call from another cousin who said, hey, Pat won the Corvette. And I said, oh, heck. Now I got to find insurance to pay for the damn thing. So I came down and there was our Corvette. It's kind of spooky in a couple of ways because the key fob that came with the Corvette, it said Corvette Central, Box 16, Sawyer, Michigan. And I said, well, hell, my address is Box 16, Sawyer, Minnesota.
Oh, wild.
If I had seen that, I would have known we were going to win. So I came down and I said, well, I gotta find some money for insurance now, because it's a $30,000 car. So I found out that the insurance was only $250 a year because it's exotic and all that, a sports car. So I got the insurance, and I've been driving it ever since. My wife is afraid to drive it because it's too low, too fast, too powerful, so I have to drive it. Oh, the sacrifices I make for my family.
You want to share with us what inspired you to become a writer and a storyteller like you are?
Sure. Back in the 1920s and 1930s, my grandfather, Joseph Anthony Northrup, was a writer. He wrote essays, and one short story he wrote later turned into a novel called Wawina. And I thought, well, I'm a pretty good letter writer, and if he can do it, I can do it. So in effect, he broke the trail for me, let me know that it was possible to write a story and to be published, which is the goal of every writer, I suppose. I wrote first some short stories. At the time, I hated people, so I was living about a mile out in the woods away from everybody on the lake. No radio, no TV, no electricity. I did have a phone, but that came later. But the way we would entertain ourselves was sitting around the fire telling stories. So one day I was taking some notes about a story I was going to tell the next time I had company. So I wrote the notes, and I said, damn, that isn't too far from the kind you read in the book. No wonder. So I invented a character named Luke Warmwater, and I started writing a story about him. The next time I had company, I read the story to him. And the guys and the girls were falling off the log laughing at the story. And I said, well, damn, that's worked. I'll try another one. So I wrote another story, and another, and another. And my nephew came up to me and said, hey, Unc, I had some crazy stuff happen in my life. Why don't you write a story about me? I said, okay. I wrote a story about him. And I was just writing. I had no idea of getting published. But I got a call from Gerald Visner, who said he was putting together an anthology called Touchwood, Ojibwe prose, a collection of Ojibwe prose. And so I sent him 14 stories, and he put them all in the book.
Wow.
Then, as a published writer, then I had to learn what I was doing.
You do a lot of cultural things. I know that you go out and do your maple sugar and you make the birch bark baskets and everything. Is there any message you want to give for out there before we go to just share with the youth or on what to keep their traditions alive?
I think the best thing I could say was, do what you're supposed to do. Do what you're supposed to do. If you know something about something, do it and do better at it every year that you're given life. Keep working on it. Keep doing it better and better. So that, for me, that means I can write stories better. That means I can make a better birch bark basket. You know, the ones like that are collected by the Smithsonian. Got 2 baskets over there. And that's it.
Great. Well, I appreciate you taking some time to talk with us. And this is Kimberlie Acosta with RezStyle, and have a grand day.
Be great.
Body language yet. Give me that one for $1. Or $2.
Okay, demonstrate someone given directions. How would you say, that way and around the corner to the right?
Like this.
That's right. You can get a job as a tour guide or at a kissing booth.
Tribal councils for 3.
The question for tribal councils is, when do the dead come to life?
Just before the election.
Right. The dead come to life long enough to vote.
What happened to the other end
The other end?
of the moose?
Oh, I don't know. And actually, I don't care, because I found this and it